Assassin's Creed 3 explores many of colonial America's greatest historical moments. But like previous games in the series, what makes it special is that it digs deeper than simple recreation. It explores themes that resonate outside of the historical context. As Connor, the Native American star of the game,
let's see what you got, rebel.
You hear the convincing words of the men you've assumed represent the wrong side of morality, and must wonder, are the concepts of good and bad so absolute after all? Connor's dilemma is one of the past. In the present day, series constant Desmond Miles plays his own role in history. His portions are even more fleshed out than before, allowing him to exercise his assassin skills. The game draws parallels between his story and Connor's, and by the end, forces you to consider an unpleasant truth about the nature of humanity.
We have an entire army of our own, merely awaiting the order to take up arms.
Then you must call upon them.
It takes time to reach that conclusion, or indeed to see Assassin's Creed 3 at its best. The opening hours are unexpectedly slow as you discover that this is a different kind of Assassin's Creed. It's no less joyous once the stops are pulled out, but the game takes its time to establish tone and backstory before it lets you loose. But put in overall context, you will grow to appreciate that the game took its time to establish its characters and to drop an early narrative surprise.
Glad you're back.
Just what is different in Assassin's Creed 3? Well, the parkour has changed for starters. The control scheme is simpler, but it allows Connor to bound from tree to tree just as brilliantly as he can scale walls and leap across roofs. It takes some time to get accustomed to the rhythms of tree jumping, which can be rather unpredictable. There are those moments that slow you down. You might not be positioned quite right, or you could accidentally leap into a leaf pile below. But when things come together, it's a joy to soar through the forest canopy. You'll do some such leaping around your homestead. The homestead is about building a village, building a future, and building relationships. By performing related missions, you befriend craftspeople, gatherers, and more, all of whom might find a place on the homestead. In turn, they can craft items that you sell via caravan for profit. Meanwhile, you watch your patch of land grow into a village of its own. The homestead-focused facets are optional, yet worth investigating. Out in the frontier, you can supplement your storehouse by trapping or attacking wild animals and skinning them. There's rarely a pressing reason to go hunting, but there's something enjoyably bizarre about perching on a tree branch and then assassinating a bunny rabbit from above. Hunting is more of a toy for tinkering with than a fully developed mechanic, unless you grow deeply invested in the homestead's economy. The cities of Boston and New York are home to most of the action. Even outside of story missions, there's plenty to do in the cities, almost all of it wonderful. Ben Franklin's missing almanac pages float in the skies, giving you a reason to take to the rooftops and prance about. Liberation missions have you rescuing townsfolk from British soldiers, among other tasks. Frontiersmen tell tall tales and you follow their leads towards UFOs and Sasquatch. Such exploits put you in direct contact with guards and soldiers, and combat has been tweaked. You counter by pressing the proper button when an indicator appears over an enemy's head, and you no longer have to manage the lock-on mechanic. Battles are fluid and bloody as Connor chops, slashes, and somersaults about, though as always, you couldn't accuse combat of being especially difficult. There are chances to go stealthy too, and Connor crouches automatically in tall grass and can even press against corners and peek around. There are some stealth inconsistencies though, as well as some parkour troubles, especially when climbing cliffs. But the inconsistencies run deeper than these little inconveniences. There are minor glitches like animals running in place against rocks. Bigger ones too, like a creature clipping into a wall so you can't finish the mission. There's an air of sloppiness here that was kept to a minimum in previous installments. Assassin's Creed 3's ambition offsets these issues to a great degree, however. The expanses are vast and the atmosphere is palpable. In place of the golden aura of previous games is a more muted look in keeping with its muddy trails and rustic homes. The presentation shines when Connor goes to sea as well. Side missions have you getting behind the helm of a ship and facing the tumultuous ocean. Sailing is fun and often tense, and the visual details are marvelous, capturing the controlled chaos of an eager crew hard at work. In the most exciting battles, ship positioning is key to success, and you sometimes get to even board the ships you ram and do battle with their crews. It's great stuff. The multiplayer first introduced in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood makes a return, and with it, the rising tensions and brutal release of assassinating other players while simultaneously avoiding the watchful eyes of your opponents. There are a number of modes in which to exercise your skill, but in most cases, the goal is to blend into the crowds and avoid your assassins, even as you seek your own target. There's great satisfaction in pulling off a silent kill, though less satisfaction in perusing the game's progression system. You can purchase new skills and perks using in-game currency, or you can use real money to do it. Given the huge array of gameplay and cosmetic upgrades, it comes across as an uncomfortable cash grab.
Tired of it. The cryptic warning.
This scrappy sequel isn't content to rely on past accolades. It takes narrative chances, thematically meshing the past and the present so that each story is stronger for it. More importantly, Assassin's Creed 3 embraces the adventurous spirit of the American colonists and their quest for independence.
The French are coming!